Welcome to The Mineral Way with Dave Michaels and pharmacist Ben Fuchs, your guide to better health. Discover the power of minerals and nutrients in supporting wellness and balancing your health routine. There's a better way. There's a better way. The Mineral Way.
All right, you guys, it's time for another edition of The Mineral Way with Ben Fuchs, pharmacist Ben Fuchs and Dave Michaels, here to answer your questions, take your phone calls if there are any, read your text messages, and of course, help you understand your body and the way what you intake has the effect on that body. I don't know if I said that right, pharmacist Ben, but you get it, right?
I totally get it.
Okay, good.
What you eat matters, and supplements are what you eat. In fact, I tell people supplements are the active ingredients in food. And that's one of the reasons, by the way, Dave, why Beyond Tangy Tangerine is great with meals. Did you know that? Or have we talked about that?
I don't think we have talked about that, but that's something that people ask me often. Am I better off taking this with food in my stomach or on an empty stomach?
With your food. Help you digest your food, number one. Mm-hmm. The nutrition in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine will create a sense of satiety, satisfaction, so you don't need to eat as much. Plus, the digestive juices are going and flowing, you'll get better absorption of the nutrients. So I recommend BTT with food. Put a little bit in a glass of water and make that your beverage. Some people say don't drink water with meals. Have you heard that?
No, I've never heard that. That's crazy talk, man.
That's
Isn't
what
it?
I say. They say, it'll dilute your digestive juices. No. Digestion requires moisture, water, so that the food can be kind of turned into a soupy mass. Mm-hmm. And most of the foods we eat these days are processed and dry. And so they become much harder to digest and much harder for the body to access the nutrients from such as they may be in whatever you're eating, if there's not moisture. And so drinking water with foods will actually help you digest your food. And if you have some BTT, you'll actually get some nutrition too.
Now, Ben, before we get started with the show, I want to ask you about some recent changes at the head of the health departments here in our great country, and Robert F. Kennedy in particular, and he seems to be on the a pretty healthy guy and have some good ideas. Some of his ideas are a little nutty, but we all have that. But I think that he has it in for the. I don't want to say he has it in, but it seems like he's not down with the pharmaceutical companies.
No, he's not. I mean, that's at least with the. I'm skeptical. Mm-hmm. I don't think anybody can really get into positions of power unless they somehow kiss the ring. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little bit skeptical, but he talks a good game, and we'll see what happens. He wrote that book about that guy who just got pardoned, whose name shall be unmentioned. Mm-hmm. It was a pretty scathing review of this guy. So maybe let's hope for the best.
Okay. Something that I hope he addresses is pharmacies and drug manufacturers advertising on television.
That's a big problem, right?
Yeah, because I don't know if they do that in other countries, but in this country, man, it just causes total havoc with our health.
Only New Zealand.
It's a terrible thing.
New Zealand and the United States are the only two countries that allow that. And one of the hidden costs of that kind of advertising, first of all, obviously, the ads create demand, and now you have patients actually, calling out brand names when they go to the doctor.
Right.
So, that's one aspect of these. That's one result of these drug advertising. But there's another really insidious result, and that is that when these drug advertisements and drug advertisers use the news as a vector, as a medium for distributing their advertising wares, the news has to become suspect because basically they're sponsoring or paying for the news. So obviously there's going to be ulterior motives. How do you know what the news is saying is legit? How do you know it's not? You're not hearing stories, especially medical and health stories, that somehow serve the interests of their advertisers.
Right.
You don't know that, do you?
You don't, Ben, and that's why we're here, Ben. We're here to show people that there is a better way.
Yes.
As we like to say, the mineral way.
You had to sneak that in there.
I like that, Ben. I like
you had to sneak that in there.
All right, Ben, so let's get started. We have a few topics that we do want to talk about. We want to talk about kidney health, the blood sugar pack, and Fucoid Z. So keep it tuned in. We're going to be talking about all of those things. First of all, Ben, I had an email from somebody who wants to know how they should take care of their kidney health. I believe there's more to it than that, but basically, kidney health is what the email is
kidney
about.
Disease is an epidemic in this country. And really, the kidney, you have two kidneys, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot of redundancy in the kidneys. In each individual kidney, there is redundancy. and then you have two kidneys. You get by on one kidney. Lots of people get by on one kidney. People give away a kidney, or they have a kidney removed, and they just do just fine. So there's a lot of, you know what I mean by redundancy extra in the kidneys. So the reason that is because the kidneys are so darn important. They filter the blood. They keep the blood clean. And kidney disease is a serious problem. And it's CKD, they call it chronic kidney disease. And you can call it an epidemic among other food epidemics that we have in this country. And the major reason is damage to the vessels caused by sugar. And that's why kidney disease and blood sugar issues go hand in hand. In fact, one of the most important breakdowns associated with messed up blood sugar is kidney disease. And that's because of this biochemical process called glycation. Have you heard of this? Glycation.
Yes, I have heard of it.
Okay, now you're not a diabetic, I take it, but you probably know people who are diabetics.
Sure.
And they have to have a test called the hemoglobin A1C test, right? Have you heard of this?
I've heard of it, yes.
All right, so what's the hemoglobin A1C test? Hemoglobin is a protein. And one of the things that happens to hemoglobin is it reacts with sugar like all proteins, and this is a marker for how well your sugar is being controlled. If there's a lot of hemoglobin being candied, caramelized, sugared, if you will, or glycated, then they say your blood sugar is not being controlled. And they use the glycation, the sugaring. Glycation is like a sugar, like caramelizing. Do you ever make candy?
Yeah.
Or melt sugar?
Yes.
It turns into caramel, right?
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gets gummy. When I was a kid, this isn't very nice, but I'll admit it. One of the things kids did in my neighborhood is they would put sugar in people's gas tanks.
Oh, Ben,
I
know
didn't
you
do it.
didn't do it.
No, I did not do
Okay.
it. But the kids in the neighborhood, some of the very bad kids did that, and that would destroy the engine, right? Because sugar gums things up.
Mm-hmm.
Via this it happens in biological systems via this reaction called glycation, and lots of things glycate. In fact, glycation is sometimes called browning, because it creates a brown. It browns tissue, and you can see, if you ever make toast, the brown stuff when you make toast.
Mm-hmm.
That's the glycation of the sugar in the bread. The sugar's in the flour. Flour is sugars, and so the sugar is brown, and you see it on the toast. We toast. Human beings toast. Glycation's toasting. We toast to death. It's one of the things that happens. We toast. How's that sound?
That sounds weird, right? Ben, but I'm sure you're going to explain to it.
And if you look at tissue of an older person and tissue of a younger person, the tissue of the older person will look like toast. It'll be brown. The lung tissue, the connective tissue, the various tissues will be brown. We toast. That's one of the ways we age. We brown. And so what sugar does is it accelerates that process, the browning process, i.e. the glycation process. And the most likely areas of the body to toast, or the most problematic areas of the body to toast or to brown or to glycate, are the very, very tiny, tiny, tiny blood vessels. They're microscopic. Can you imagine a microscopic vessel? It's like, imagine a thread. You know how thin a piece of thread is, right?
Right.
Well, that's still not microscopic. That's still hundreds of times bigger than microscopic because you can see it. But can you imagine having blood vessels that are 10 or maybe 100 times thinner than a piece of thread?
Wow, Ben.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Crazy.
And it's a vessel, so it's hollow. You hear me? It's hollow. So that means stuff comes through it. But that hollow vessel, is because it's so small and thin, is very susceptible to damage. There's not a lot of room for error. And so a little bit of browning can create a lot of problem. A little bit of toasting can create a lot of problem. A little bit of glycation in these vessels creates big problems. And these tiny little vessels, capillaries are called, that brown or toast or glycate, are linked to all kinds of health challenges, particularly in the eyes, which contain lots of these tiny little vessels. And this is why diabetes is a leading cause of blindness and eye disease in general. In the extremities, there's lots of tiny blood vessels in the fingers and toes and the extremities, and diabetes is associated with amputations. And the kidneys. And so the kidneys are extremely susceptible, the capillaries in the kidneys are extremely susceptible to damage from sugar when your blood sugar is not being controlled. And remember, the blood is running through the kidneys. The kidneys are filtering the blood. Mm-hmm. So the whole blood supply goes through the kidneys. And if there's a lot of sugar in there, these tiny blood vessels are likely to get damaged. And this is where kidney disease, this is the main cause of kidney disease. The good news, does that make sense, first of all?
Oh, absolutely,
okay.
Ben. Absolutely.
The good news is it's so easy to reverse.
What?
Just getting off of just going on a low sugar diet, going ketogenic, going going paleo, reducing your sugar intake will make a dramatic difference. But especially using nutrients that the body uses to process sugar. What are those nutrients? Sweeties, chromium, vanadium, magnesium, Fucoid Z, zinc, the zinc FX, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Youngevity has a ton of nutrients that help your body process blood sugar. And the good news is you're not only going to help your kidneys, you're going to help your eyes, you're going to help your extremities, you're going to help your heart, you're going to help every system in the body, and that's the beauty of nutrition. When you target one system with nutrients, you get benefits for the entire system. In fact, you really can't target one system because it's all networked and integrated. So that's the beauty of getting on the Healthy Start Pack, and that's the beauty of getting on the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, plus these other extra blood sugar stabilizing nutrients for kidney disease. You'll not only get benefits for your kidney, but you'll get benefits for your entire cardiovascular system, as well as your eyes, as well as your extremities, and also the liver and other organs of the body as well, because every part of the body is susceptible to glycation or toasting or roasting, if you will, however you want to look at it. I love the healthy blood sugar pack. You don't have to have diabetes to benefit. And by the way, the diagnosis called diabetes is extremely misleading. There are a lot of people who have problems with sugar, but they go get their sugar tested and say, "Oh, you're normal. Oh, everything's normal." And it very well might be compared to what's called the reference ranges. The reference ranges are used to determine high and low and normal. So they take your blood sugar and they see what it is and they compare it using the reference range, right? If it's high, when they say it's high, it means it's higher than the reference range. Or if it's low, it's lower than the reference range. Or if it's normal, it's within the reference range. The problem is the reference range itself is inaccurate and flawed and based on statistics and algorithms. So high and low is meaningless. You want to go by your symptoms. And there's a lot of people who don't have the official diagnosis of diabetes, but they still have disruptions or disturbances in their blood sugar. Their blood sugar is too high for good health, even though they're not officially a diabetic.
How would that manifest itself, Ben? What
as
signs?
All kinds of health issues, as kidney problems, heart problems, cardiovascular problems, eye problems, liver issues, weight issues, all the things that elevated blood sugar does. And there's another problem. Insulin is a hormone that does a lot of things, but it's one of its main roles is to shuttle sugar into cells and out of your blood. So when your sugar in your blood rises, insulin is used, but the body uses insulin to take that sugar out of the blood, right? So the more sugar you're eating, the more insulin you're pumping out. Right? This is a big health challenge for a lot of reasons, but the point I want to make here is your blood sugar might be normal because your insulin is high. You see, the insulin is making your blood sugar look normal, but the problem is insulin does a lot of things, and while your insulin may be controlling your blood sugar, it's also speeding up cell division and causing cells to burn through nutrients much faster, leading to nutrient deficiencies as well as perhaps cancers and what they call neoplasms, even if they're benign, not necessarily cancers, but benign growths, but also cancers, cysts and tumors and such. Also, elevated insulin can be associated with high blood pressure and with damage to blood vessels. So your blood sugar might be normal because your insulin's high, but the insulin's a problem. What's more is you may not be an official diabetic, but you may have high blood sugar, which may look normal based on reference ranges, but still is problematic in terms of glycation and toasting and roasting. So you can't go by diagnoses. You can't go by simply having normal blood sugar. You have to go by symptoms. And in fact, you don't even have to be symptomatic to benefit from the sweeties, to benefit from the Fucoid Z, to benefit from the ultimate niacin, which is also important for blood sugar control, to benefit from the zinc FX, which is important for blood sugar control, to benefit from the ultimate selenium, which is important for blood sugar control. We can all benefit by using supplements that help our body process sugar, which gets me to another point. And this,
Ben, you're scaring the daylights out of me, dude. This is
no. Get yourself on the Healthy Start
man.
Pack. This should be easy. And then here's another point.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to be sick to benefit from nutritional supplementation. We're always talking to sick people, right? People with health challenges.
Yeah.
You don't have to be sick. You can be perfectly healthy and still benefit. You could be even healthier, number one, or you can maintain your health. You can prevent problems. You know what I'm saying? You can head problems off at the pass. So don't think that if I'm not sick, or if you're not sick, or I'm not sick, that you don't need nutritional supplementation. Everybody benefits from the Healthy Start Pack. Everybody benefits from Sweeties and the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack. Everybody benefits from the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack. Everybody benefits from all the things we talk about on this program.
I like that, Ben. Now we're talking things that you can do to help deal with these issues. Now, I know another part of this, another major part of this is watching what you intake, right? Dr. Wallach has a 10 bad foods list and 10 good foods list. I don't remember exactly, but when you talk about blood sugar, I think a lot of people don't realize, correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, that carbohydrates turn into blood sugar. Is that correct?
Carbohydrates are sugar. It's a synonym. There are lots of different carbohydrates. Not all, fats are carbohydrates. So carbohydrate means carb, hydrate. There's three parts to it. Carbohydrate, right? Mm-hmm. There's three parts. Carbo means carbon, means hydrogen, and ate means water. That's the biochemical term for water. So you have a carbohydrate is carbon, hydrogen, and water. Or oxygen, actually, not water, oxygen. So carbohydrate, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And anything that has carbon and hydrogen and oxygen will be called a carbohydrate if that's all it has in it. Anything that's a blend of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and that includes fats and sugars. Okay? So your main carbohydrates are fats and sugars. If you stick a little nitrogen on there, you get a protein. Protein is a carbohydrate with nitrogen. So all foods have a carbohydrate shell, or a carbohydrate base, chassis, let's say. And then if you stick a nitrogen, it becomes a protein, but fats and sugars are carbohydrates. So carbohydrates have a dark side, and you can't live without them. They provide energy, whether it's the carbohydrates from fat or carbohydrates from sugars, they provide you with energy, but they have a dark side. And one of those dark sides is they can accelerate this whole process we talked about called glycation. That's number one. And number two, the body has, the brain really, has an insatiable need for these carbohydrates. And in fact, the brain will ingest carbohydrates way more than is necessary. In fact, rats will kill themselves to get carbohydrates even more than they need. They'll hit this little button. They do these little tests with rats to get them to hit a little switch so they can get a piece of sugar or a piece of candy. Mm-hmm. Rats will do it till they die, just to keep getting hits from carbohydrates, and human beings will do it too, because we've evolved a need for carbohydrates, and food companies know this. And that's why they will spike their foods with not only with carbohydrates, but with carbohydrates that get into the bloodstream really quickly.
Wow.
And that's really the problem, is when a carbohydrate gets into the bloodstream really quickly, that's where you run into issues. Carbohydrates that are found in whole foods are not as problematic because they don't go into the bloodstream really quickly. Carbohydrates from soda are disastrous. One of the most important major health crises we have, or causes of the health crisis we have, is soda, or pop, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. Coca-Cola. And by the way, Coca-Cola there's a reason why everybody wants to drink Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is government subsidized. So you're not only getting this like heroin, if you will. It's like a heroin of food. That's the kind of addictive nature it has. But it's being subsidized by the government. So your tax dollars are going to help promote this highly addictive, highly damaging, zero nutritional substance. And that's why you see Coca-Cola everywhere. And not just Coca-Cola, of course, but soda pop everywhere. Mm-hmm. In fact, in some countries, they're so poor that people are starving, Coca-Cola trucks will actually deliver Coke into these African villages, and they can't even get through the roads because there's no roads. They get stuck in the mud, but they still deliver their Coca-Cola. So the little shacks in little villages in Africa they don't have any food, but they got Coca-Cola.
That's the last thing they need, Ben.
Right.
Okay, so for somebody...
And by the way, one last thing. Yeah. Coca-Cola, great for cleaning your toilet. If you ever have a need for cleaning your toilet.
I've heard that. That can't be good for your body.
No, it can't be good for your body.
So for people who are dealing with blood sugar issues or who want to avoid blood sugar issues, Ben, we recommend the Healthy Blood Sugar Pack, of course.
Yes. And but there's accessories, too.
Yes. You mentioned the Fucoid Z and the zinc. What other things?
Fucoid Z, Zinc FX, CFX, Ultimate Niacin, Ultimate Selenium. These all have important blood sugar controlling properties. One of the most important nutrients for helping control blood sugar is the osteomag, magnesium. Very important for the blood sugar system. And also, magnesium in general we should do our next talk on the osteomat because magnesium is so freaking important, and magnesium deficiency is very common. But one of its most important roles is to help the body utilize sugar.
So before we move on, Ben, what foods should they avoid? I suspect that most people already know what foods.
Yeah, most people know.
But let's tell them anyways, Ben. Sugar.
The processed foods are really the big problem. Sugar, fast-burning sugars, liquid sugars, fruit juice. By the way, a lot of people. You ever hear of this company called Jamba Juice? Mm-hmm. They make it sound like their products are really healthy for you. They are not healthy for you because they're like an IV dose of sugar right in your blood because they're so liquefied. They go right into your bloodstream through your intestine, and that is really, really a big problem. So fruit juices, soda pop, fried fats of all kinds. Fried fats are a disaster. Processed meats, horrible. In fact, the big three of horrible foods, I would say, are processed meats, refined sugars and liquid sugars, and fried fats or processed fats.
What about things like bread? Dr. Wallach's always
here's another thing about bread. You ready for this?
Yeah.
I know I'm like... I don't mean to be depressing here, but one of the things...
we're trying to help people, Ben. We want to tell them what to take and what to avoid.
So bread, people know about gluten in bread, but let me tell you something about bread. What's the most important ingredient in bread?
Flour.
Exactly. Flour is poisonous.
Oh, boy.
Yes, because flour is one of the most important dietary sources of distorted fats. And that's one of the biggest problems we have in our food supply today is distorted fats. We have scientifically and technologically advanced fat distortion machinery and technologies. And over the last 150 years, we figured out how to distort fats so that they could be processed and so that they could be utilized more effectively. And so we can use them, we can load foods up with them so that people can, remember, people have this addictive need for carbohydrates so that people can't stop eating the fats. There are people who can't stop eating French fries. There is zero positive benefit to eating French fries. Now, I know when I say these things, there are probably people turning the frickin' radio off right now because they don't want to hear it.
Right.
But number one, in the interest as a healthcare professional, in the interest of health, I have to say these things. But number two, you don't have to have zero tolerance for these kinds of foods. It's on a spectrum. If you eat one bag of French fries every couple of days and you reduce it to once a week, you're going to benefit from that. If you eat a large French fry every day and you eat a small French fry every day, or a small bag of French fries every day, you're going to benefit from that. So it doesn't have to be zero tolerance. That's first of all. Secondly, the more good fat you get, the less you're going to want the bad fat. So the more ultimate EFAs you get, the less you're going to need, the less you're going to desire French fry fat. So supplement with quality fats, and you're going to find that you crave fats less. And that's one of the really cool things about supplementation. It hacks into your cravings. Minerals hack into salt cravings. Protein hacks into sugar cravings. And essential fats, the ultimate EFAs, hack into fat cravings. But what I want to get at was one of the major sources of problematic fats is flour. Flour contains fats. People don't realize this. What is flour? Flour is a grain. Grain is a seed. Seeds are one of nature's richest sources of fats because fats are used by nature to feed the plant that's going to come out of the seed. So grains and seeds contain lots of fats. Grains are a source of fats. Even though it doesn't seem like they would be, they are. But the problem is these fats become distorted. And so flour is a disguised source of distorted fats. Distorted fats wreak havoc on the whole body, or all the cells, but especially on the intestine. They're inflammatory for the intestine, and that's a whole nother health challenge, leaky gut and intestinal permeability. And that's the cause of dirty blood. And all disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. And the major cause, aside from injection through the skin, is intestinal permeability, which is caused by rancid, processed, oxidized, heated, distorted fats. And this is why Doc is always, for years, he's been talking about the problem with distorted fats and seed oils. But there's more. Flour contains bromine. It's bleached. That's how they get it white. So bromine is a bleaching agent, and this is how flour becomes white. And bromine is also wreaks havoc on the thyroid. Bromine is one of the ways our thyroid gets damaged, and it can lead to hypothyroidism, which leads to everything else. In fact, there's no chronic disease that does not involve some degree of hypothyroidism, and one of the ways the thyroid becomes damaged is through bromine, and flour is a source of bromine. So flour is a huge problem, aside from the fact that most flour today is so highly processed that it's a way that sugar rapidly enters into the bloodstream, and that is above and beyond the problem that everybody knows these days of gluten. And by the way, bromine is also, or potassium bromate, which is a form of bromine, is also associated with cancer. It damages cells. So, flour,
Ben.
you would do your body a lot of good to lay off of flour, and flour's everywhere.
It is.
Because they coat fried foods with it. Fried foods with flour are a double whammy of toxicity. Listen, this is the bad news.
Ben.
This is the bad news. But the good news is these represent places that we can work to get better. So, right, if you're dealing with a chronic health challenge, these are all powerful tools that you can leverage to lose weight, to improve cardiovascular functioning, to improve your blood sugar, to reduce your risks of secondary problems associated with diabetes, like blindness and peripheral neuropathies and kidney disease. So this is good news. If you didn't have any place to work, you say, oh, what am I going to do? I'm stuck. Now you have all these wonderful places to work, reducing your calories, eliminating the fast-burning sugars, going not zero tolerance, just at least reducing your intake of processed oils and fats, reducing your intake of flour. These are all wonderful strategies that you can use. And of course, getting on a good nutritional supplement program is step number one. And you don't have to, as I said before, you don't have to be sick. But if you are sick, it represents a powerful tool that you can leverage to improve your health, improve your longevity, and prevent the downward spiral of chronic degenerative disease that causes so much misery and suffering, not only among patients, but among caretakers.
Oh, man, Ben, that's good news to hear, dude. That is good news to hear. Holy
cow.
Good news.
I call it the gospel of nutrition.
I like
gospel
it, Ben.
Means good news.
So we've been talking about the blood sugar pack. Before we get out of here, Ben, let's mention what is in the blood sugar pack.
Yeah, the healthy blood sugar pack, and that's a good point, because all the Youngevity products are built around what they call the hub and spoke concept, where the hub of the wheel, the center of the wheel, contains your basic nutrients, or what we call the mighty 90 essential nutrients, which we've talked about before. That's essentially the healthy start pack, right?
Yes.
The healthy start pack is three main products. We've talked about them before. I think.
But let's mention it again.
I'll mention them again. We talked about on our first show, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, my favorite nutritional supplement in the world. I've been taking it for years. The OsteoFX, which is marketed for bones, but as we talked about before, it's important for gums, it's important for wrinkle or prevention of wrinkles, for collagen and connective tissue, it's important for the fascia, it's important for the eyes, it's important for every part of the body. So anywhere where you have connective tissue, which you have head to toe, you'll benefit from the OsteoFX. If you're afraid of getting wrinkles, or if you're dealing with joint problems, or if you're concerned about eye health or gum disease, the Healthy Bone and Joint Pack, or the OsteoFX, can help you there. The Healthy Blood Sugar Pack has also the Ultimate EFA. The Healthy Start Pack has the Ultimate EFAs. And then they throw in a couple of products specific for sugar. Of course, the Sweeties is really important, and that's contains two minerals that are very, very important for helping the body control sugar. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure on this, I think the Ultimate Selenium might be in there. And if it's not in there, you should take it anyway, because selenium is important for blood sugar. And also the Ultimate Niacin is important for blood sugar. So it contains the hub. The center of the hub is the Healthy Start Pack, and then built around the Healthy Start Pack is on the spokes is the Sweeties. I think I'm not 100% positive on the Ultimate Selenium, but
it is not part of that.
It's not part of it. Okay, so then the Ultimate Selenium, but you should take the Ultimate Selenium with your Sweeties.
So the blood sugar pack and adding selenium and
Ultimate Niacin.
That's.
I would throw in the Osteomag too.
Okay, if you're dealing with blood sugar issues, you guys, that's what you want to do. Now, you want to keep it tuned in, because at the end of this segment, we're going to tell you where to go. In the meantime, though, I would recommend that you go to our website, The Mineral Way. You can find all of these packages there at themineralway.com. That's probably the easiest way for right now, Ben, is to go to themineralway.com. All right, Ben, well, that is just about it, man. Time flies
when you're having a good time.
So, Pharmacist Ben, we want to remind people that we are looking for people to join the team. And again, you can do that at The Mineral Way. You can work with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and I. We're going to be doing some Zoom meetings so we can all see each other and smile at each other, Ben, and have a good time.
I can't wait for that. When are we gonna do our Zoom?
I don't know. Let's
wanna see the
do
people.
about a month from now. How does that sound?
Okay, I want to see the people.
Okay.
I want to meet the peeps.
Yeah. All right, pharmacist Ben Fuchs, thank you for joining me here. And that's another one down. So what I like to do, Ben, what I would like to do with this series is tell people what these packs are, what they address, so they can help people other than themselves. They can help themselves and help others. That's the mineral way. That's the Youngevity way. That's what happens when you join the team, Ben.
Thank you, David. Good to talk to you.
Thank you, Ben. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.